Om Jnana Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prastaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta, Swaminiti Namine, Namaste Saraswate Deve, Gauravani Pacharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschata Deshatarine. Tonight's topic is focused upon understanding, our understanding of Srila Prabhupada's inestimable position in our life as our foundation, as our guide, as our inspiration for his disciples, his grand disciples, his great grand disciples, on and on into the future. Srila Prabhupada is the bedrock, the cynosure, the one who sets the pace. You see, there are spiritual masters, and then there are foundational acharyas who give us the basis that we can build upon. Srila Prabhupada gave us the framework and asked us to fill in the framework. So in that way, if you keep that example in mind, you'll understand his foundational and essential role. Hopefully, you are all reading the books of Srila Prabhupada. And he saw these books as his contribution for the coming years. Not just a passing spiritual phenomenon. Sometimes I hear devotees say that they read the verses, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. They just want to get through the books or get an overview. So they just read the verses, and often they never find time to do anything else, to read anything else other than the verses. So I always point out to them how Srila Prabhupada said, anyone can translate verses, but my purports are my devotional ecstasies. So indeed, the foundation of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is devotional ecstasy. And you realize that through devotional service. As you serve and read, more and more you begin to see the ecstasies in relation to Krishna of Srila Prabhupada through his books. Sometimes younger devotees say, oh, if we could only have been present at the time Srila Prabhupada walked this earth. That is a fitting sentiment. But Srila Prabhupada, as I often point out, said that if you want to know me, read my books. My books are better than me. Now, what does that mean? My books are better than me. It means that you can, according to Srila Prabhupada himself, you can get a better and deeper contact with him through his books than by fleeting moments of his physical association. I think some of you have heard me explain before, but many of you on this particular Zoom call may not have heard. In our young devotee days, in the mid 70s, practically every devotee wanted Prabhupada's association. And we considered anyone who was traveling with Prabhupada, giving him personal service, we considered them to be the most advanced devotees automatically. Now, don't get me wrong, of course, they were very fortunate to have such an opportunity. So, as young devotees, we just assumed, wow, they're the most fortunate. How can we get such a spot? How can we get on a morning walk? How can we be in Prabhupada's quarters? I'm only now realizing what it would be like for Srila Prabhupada to have thousands of disciples vying in that way. Obviously, it's not going to work out for everyone. And as we read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vani, the instructions, are more important than the Vapu, the physical association. The physical association sometimes is there and sometimes not. But the instructions are our eternal connection. And as we mature in bhakti, in our relationship, we find that the Vani is more intense. That's hard to believe in our beginning stages because we're so attached to the physical plane. But as we go deeper into bhakti, as the decades go by, we start to see that through the instruction comes the deepest connection. So, the example that some of you have heard me give before, because we all, as young devotees, we're thinking, oh, it's all about physical proximity to Srila Prabhupada. That determines your ranking. That determines your worth. So Prabhupada gave this very insightful example. He said, if you think that whoever is closest to me physically is the best devotee, then here's what I say. I say, by your standard, the mosquito is the best devotee. But what is the purpose of the mosquito? It's to bite me. So that statement kind of punctured our bubble and made us think, maybe we got this wrong. So Srila Prabhupada was teaching us and teaching future generations how to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and how to understand his representative. And as we pointed out in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada is the foundational representative. He provides the terrain that we walk or run on. His disciples, grand disciples, are individuals with their particular personalities. There's variegatedness, but all that variegatedness rests on the foundation of the founder Acharya. So please keep that in mind. I was very moved today hearing my god sister Bimala Devi Dasi relay a remembrance of Srila Prabhupada by another god sister, Krishna Bhamani. Srila Prabhupada was at the New Mayapur farm in France, and he speaking, and everyone always felt he's speaking directly to me. He said that just for me. Srila Prabhupada is so attuned to Paramatma, the super soul, that everyone was having that realization. So he said that even on your most difficult day in bhakti, even during your most difficult time in bhakti, that day is better than the best day you can have in material life. On days in devotional service, on days in dealing with other devotees, when everything seems to go wrong or everything's misunderstood, or maybe there are family problems, family arguments, work problems. These things happen. But your worst day, your so-called worst day in Krishna consciousness is better than your best day in material life. Something to think about, isn't it? As we reflect on the extraordinary gifts, the inconceivable gifts of his divine grace. This morning, we were speaking about a reality check. We can use a technique recommended by so-called happiness scientists, who, of course, don't know anything about real happiness. In order to squeeze some more drops out of the dry towel of material happiness, they recommend you think, what if I never had this car that I'm driving? What if I never had this ring that I'm wearing? What if I never had this material thing or that material thing, this material situation or that material situation? And that thinking pattern, they say, helps you to savor the material experience or item that you have. When you start thinking, what if I never had it? Of course, anyone who reads Srimad Bhagavatam seriously is not impressed, because anything you have materially, you'll lose. So yes, at one point in your existence, you will be facing the reality. I don't have it. Whether it's your own body, some item, some bodily relationship, at some point, you're going to be lamenting, I don't have it. It leaves you or you leave it. But anyway, these materialistic happiness scientists claim that, let's say, while you're eating some strawberry ice cream, hopefully you've offered it to Krishna first. In order to savor each mouthful, you're supposed to think, what if this never happened? What if I never tasted strawberry ice cream before? In particular, this strawberry ice cream. And that helps you to squeeze some more enjoyment out. With spiritual treasures, we can actually use this technique. Hari Hari Bo. What if I had never encountered Srila Prabhupada's mercy? Oh, what would my life have been? I may have contacted that mercy through his followers, through his books, through his centers. But what if I had never? Just think about your life. It would be so barren, so futile, a pointless struggle. Manasastan Indriyani, Prakriti Stani Karshati. You would be struggling, as Krishna points out in Bhagavad Gita. You'd be struggling with your mind and five senses, struggling in the oppressive material atmosphere. And there's no point to it. You struggle and give up your body, and where you're going next, you don't know. And you don't care. This is what our life would have been like. Struggling, working, trying to get some enjoyment, some satisfaction, trying this way, trying that way, trying to get some inner peace, some inner fulfillment. If we live a full life, which is not automatic, we watch our body break down, old age comes upon us. Arvinda Naba Das and I were listening to Srila Prabhupada speak today while I was honoring Prasad. And so a devotee very naively said to Srila Prabhupada on a morning walk in Mayapur in 1976. So when you're old, when you become an old man, then all the lust goes away. Srila Prabhupada said, no, it doesn't work like that, materially speaking. He explained what happens is that you have all the same desires that you had when you were young, but now your body can no longer function on those desires. The body can no longer carry out those desires, even though you have the desires. Very excruciating situation. The desire is there, but the instruments can't function. This could have been our future. Our future could have been using this short and temporary human form of life, struggling for futile, transient material happiness, and then the body breaks down if we indeed live a full lifespan. The body breaks down, and then they're the horrors of old age. And then we die, and no idea what comes next. this would have been our life. Can you just think if Srila Prabhupada hadn't brought the Hare Krishna mantra to the Western world, if he hadn't caused a revival of the Hare Krishna mantra in India, what would our situation be? Can you imagine life without chanting Hare Krishna? What a desert. What a disaster. Now, I relish the verse. I do not know how much nectar is there in the holy name of Krishna. When the tongue vibrates it, we want many million tongues. When the ear hears it, we want many millions of ears. But without Srila Prabhupada bringing the Hare Krishna mantra, what would we have done? Without Srimad Bhagavatam to capture our intelligence and enter our heart, what would we have done? So gratitude is such an important characteristic of a Vaishnava. We should be grateful, as I often point out, for any devotee who's helped us in some way in our spiritual progress. Even if, and it does happen, sometime later there is a disagreement, misunderstanding, but still you remember this devotee did something that I should be grateful for. And certainly our gratitude for Srila Prabhupada is most important. The more we develop that sense of gratitude for Srila Prabhupada, the more we'll have insight into what he's done for us. It's not just rah-rah talk, ritualistic glorification, Prabhupada ki jai. No, we need to get to the depths of our indebtedness. And when we try to do that, we'll find our heart opens up in yet more gratitude for Srila Prabhupada. I was looking today at the 10th canto, chapter 80, where Krishna is reminding Sudama Brahmana about their time in the Gurukula together, serving Sandipani Muni, the Guru. On that list of persons with parental love, Vatsalya praying, we spoke about Kunti Devi being number 7 on that list. Of course, Yashoda Mai is number 1. Nanda Maharaj is number 2. Rohini is number 3. But Sandipani Muni is number 9. So Krishna, speaking to Sudama Brahmana at Krishna's palace in Dwarka, said, "Do you remember?" He wanted to assure Sudama Brahmana, "You may not remember, but I remember. I know who you are." So Krishna began to relay an incident about indebtedness to the Guru, gratitude to the Guru, and the blessings of the Guru. First, Krishna points out, Naham ijja prajatibhyam tapaso pashamena va tushyayam sarvabhutatma guru shushrushtaya yata. I, the soul of all beings, am not as satisfied by ritual worship, Brahminical initiation, penances, or self discipline as I am by faithful service rendered to one's spiritual master. So Krishna himself is highlighting this point. He's saying that there may be the brahmachari austerities. There may be the householder austerities in producing offspring. There may be vanaprastha austerity, becoming detached from family life. And there may be sannyas austerity, a life of sense control. But none of that, Krishna says, satisfies me as much as service to the Guru. So Srila Prabhupada brought that. And all devotees in the ISKCON society cherish Srila Prabhupada's central role in the marketplace of seva, the marketplace of service to Krishna. Sometimes in India, persons have ritualistic gurus. When they're very young, they get some mantra. Technically, that's called the Swadharma guru, the guru of your external ritualistic occupation. But most important, and what Krishna is referring to, is the Bhagavad Dharma guru, the one who teaches the science of Krishna. Not simply rituals for material elevation and prosperity. So Krishna says, "Oh, Brahmana, do you remember what happened while we were living with our spiritual master? There was a time the wife of our guru, the wife of Sandipani Muni, sent us to get firewood. And so we entered the huge forest, and suddenly an unseasonable storm out of nowhere emerged. Just like we were speaking this morning about the rainstorm that hit in the neighborhood of the Auckland Temple, flooded the town 5 minutes away from us, called Kumu. 200 millimeters of water came down in 24 hours. First, they said it was the biggest rainstorm on record. Then they qualified it. Okay, second biggest. And the mayor of Auckland said, "It's just unbelievable. 1 month we're worried about drought, and now we're hit with record-breaking rainfall." So Krishna and Sudama, Brahmana, were caught in such a ferocious storm overnight. They had been sent to the forest to get firewood, and now they're trapped. Of course, how can the Supreme Personality of Godhead be trapped by any forces of material nature? But he wants to demonstrate to us how to serve the spiritual master. He wants to show that. And through this ordeal, Sudama Brahmana and Krishna developed such a firm friendship. And Krishna, speaking to Sudama Brahmana in the palace in Dwarka, is reminding him, I didn't forget. You may have forgotten. You may think I don't know who you are. But here it is. So they're trapped in the forest. Darkness has covered the sky. They couldn't see anywhere. They couldn't distinguish between highland, lowland, wetland, dry land. So all they could do is hold on to each other's hands, aimlessly wandering about the forest. This is Leela. How can Krishna not know what he's doing? But he's relishing this pastime. He's relishing acting in this way to teach us that service to the spiritual master is most important. And as they wandered, apparently aimlessly through the forest, they're still carrying the firewood because that's their service, to bring back the firewood. So in the morning, the guru, Sandipani Muni, could understand my students are trapped in the forest, lost somewhere. So he came with a search party looking for his disciples, knowing that they'd be suffering, trapped in the forest because of the rain, the wind, water everywhere. And so when he came upon Krishna and Sandipani Muni, Sudama Brahmana, he said, Aho hey, putraka yuyam, asmat arte ti dukataha. Atma by praninam prishtas tam anadritya mat paraha. Oh, my children, you have suffered so much for my sake. The body is most dear to every living creature, but you are so dedicated to me that you completely disregarded your own comfort. He goes on to say, this indeed is the duty of all true disciples, to repay the debt to their spiritual master by offering him with pure hearts their wealth and even their very lives. Materialistic people think, oh, this is a recipe for exploitation. But no, the genuine spiritual master does not exploit the disciple, but instead engages the disciple in devotional service for the disciple's eternal benefit. So Srila Prabhupada, not simply a spiritual master, but founder Acharya, the foundation, the axis upon which everything turns, as he leads us back to Krishna. He's provided this framework expressly for us to engage in Krishna's service for our eternal benefit. How indebted we are. What would we do without the association of devotees, the books, the deities, the Maha Mantra, the Prasad? All these divine gifts have been showered upon us throughout the world because of Srila Prabhupada. Yes, there are other Gaudiya saintly persons, but no one has done what Srila Prabhupada has done. No one has come even close. even halfway, even a 25% of the way close. That's why that's one reason why we are so fixed on glorifying Srila Prabhupada. So Sandipani Muni is certifying to Krishna and Sudama Brahmana, you've truly done service to the Guru. I'm satisfied with you. And he gives them a blessing. May all your desires be fulfilled. And may the Vedic mantras you've learned from me never lose their meaning, now or in the future, in this world or the next. We see that sometimes devotees become lax in their spiritual habits, lax in their sadhana, and then they're confronted with a loss of taste, which is the natural result of slackness. Your taste goes. And then you start thinking, what's the point of all these spiritual activities when I have no taste? But how did you lose the taste? You had it, but you lost it. You have to retrace your steps. So Sandipani Muni is blessing the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Sudama Brahmana. Sandipani Muni is blessing someone who is the Vedic knowledge personified. He's blessing him, saying, may the meaning of the Vedas and the mantras never be lost to you. May they remain ever fresh. So Krishna summarizes the whole incident that he's relaying to Sudama Brahmana, saying, we had many similar experiences while we lived in our spiritual master's home. Simply by the grace of the spiritual master, a person can fulfill life's purpose and attain eternal peace. Reflecting on this Leela, this Krishna Leela, on Srila Prabhupada's appearance day, we beg both his disciples and disciples of his disciples, we beg for the opportunity to please him. That is no small thing. Our hearts are filled with gratitude. We know we're in debt. We shudder and shake to think what our life would be without Krishna, without devotional service. So on this holy appearance day of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, let's aspire to do more to please him. Have that desire in the heart and know that Krishna in your heart will notice it. As we spoke this morning from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna in the heart is very grave in terms of what he does. You can't understand what he's doing, but he is active. I like the way Srila Prabhupada writes in one purport, Krishna is not lazy in your heart. Just because you don't perceive what he's doing, that doesn't mean he's not doing anything. By celebrating days like this, and especially by celebrating Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja Day, our hearts become more bound to him, and our intelligence wants to become more dedicated to his instructions and his mission. So I thank you all for your kind attention. have to sign off and log on to West Sydney, ISKCON West Sydney. They've been locked down there since early July. And I'll read my Vyasa Puja offering again and speak very briefly. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you very much, Raj. Would you like to take some questions or comments? Okay, we have some Nashika prayer. Radhe, you want to organize someone to sing Nashika prayer?
Okay. Once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Maharaj, for nice class. Today, Nashing prayer will be sung by Chris and Radhika. So Radhika and Chris, are you there?
Yes, we are here.
Okay, so yeah. So you two can start. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay. Yeah. Can you bring mic closer? It's not clear. Mic नजदीक लेके Thank you, Radhika and Chris, once again. Thank you very much.